this tutorial, we're going to look at drawing graphs using the table function on our calculator. And you'll see I've got my calculator ready on the left there. Now, the sorts of graphs we might need to do are perhaps the more difficult ones, like this one in question 1, y equals x cubed minus 6x plus 1. And the first thing we're going to do, actually before we use the table function, is we're going to think. And we're going to think what the graph might look like. And you should have a good working knowledge of what graphs look like. Cubics, this is a cubic, x cubed, tend to look like this. Okay, so we're expecting some sort of wiggle like that. Right, so how do we go about this? Well, it asks us to complete a table of values. If it doesn't, and it just says draw the graph, then create a table. So we find the table function on our calculator. Now it's usually under menu, so I'm going to go to menu. It's not immediately obvious there, so I'm going to scroll down and scroll down again, and there it is. On some calculators, it's easier to find than that. So I press 9, and I go into the table function. And now I need to enter the actual function. Yours might say y equals, mine says f of x equals. But either way, I enter that bit on the right. And I need to use x's. And there's an alpha button on my calculator, top left there next to shift, and I need to find the x or possibly the capital X. Slightly depends on your calculator. But anyway, so I'm going to do x cubed, so that's alpha, and then the right-hand bracket gives me an x, and then I need to do cubed, which is shift x squared, and that gives me x cubed. And then minus 6, and again alpha x on the right-hand bracket there, plus 1. And that is my function entered. I need to press equals so that the calculator knows what I'm talking about. And on some calculators, it'll give you the option to enter a second function. And actually, I don't want to. So I just press equals again, and I'm done. So now it asks about the table range. And it asks for a start value, an end value, and a step. Well, the start and the end values are clearly going to be minus 3 and 3, so I just type those in. Minus 3, press equals, 3, press equals. And then the step is the gap between the x values. Well, these are all nice and evenly spaced with a gap of 1. So my step is 1, so I type in 1, even if it was already there, and press equals. Okay. And now, if I press equals again, it'll give me the table of values in a vertical way. So you see x and f of x there, which is y really. And if I scroll down, I can see the other values I want. Now, these table questions usually give you some values, so you can make sure that you're right. Oh, look, I am. Minus 2 is 5, and you may have spotted that 3 gave us 10 earlier. So now I just fill in the values. So I get minus 3 gives me minus 8, minus 1 gives me 6, 0 gives me 1, scroll down so I can see the other ones, 1 gives me minus 4, and 2 gives me minus 3. And there, just to confirm, 3 does give me 10. Now usually, well in fact always in these questions, you're then asked to draw the graph. So let's scroll up and see how to draw the graph. Okay, I've recreated the table there. The red ones are the ones we've just found, the black ones are the ones we've just given, and we now simply plot those values on the graph. So, x is minus 3, y is minus 8, is down here in the bottom left there, minus 2 and 5 is there, 5 is halfway between 4 and 6, minus 1 and 6, okay, 0 and 1, halfway between 0 and 2 there. 1 and minus 4 is down here. Make sure you're using the scales correctly on each axis. The scales are very different on these two axes. 2 and minus 3 is there. And 3 and 10 is all the way up there. Now, remember that we said the graph was going to look a bit like this. And oh look, it does. So that's good. If you didn't know what the graph looked like, you might struggle to see the shape of it. And now we need to, and this is the difficult bit, join these points up with a smooth curve. Okay, and as long as it goes through most of the points roughly, that's not a great effort, but it'll do. Okay, because the intention is clear and often they're marking intention. So there we go. That's how you use the table function on your calculator. You might need to do a bit of work to find out where it is on your particular calculator, but it's well worth doing.